There's something about truth. It doesn't beg for attention. It doesn't chase approval. It doesn't adjust itself to fit the crowd. It just stands. And sometimes, it stands alone. We live in a world where being accepted feels like everything, where likes, opinions, and voices stack up fast, and if enough people agree on something, it starts to feel like truth. But what if it's not? What if truth has never needed a crowd? What if the loudest voice isn't the right one? There was a man once, a man who spoke truth for 120 years, and almost no one listened. His name was Noah, not a king, not a warrior, not someone people looked up to, just a man who heard God and believed him. Back then, the world looked normal. People were building, laughing, living their lives. Nothing seemed urgent, nothing seemed wrong, except it was. Deep down, everything had shifted. Violence had become normal. Corruption wasn't shocking anymore, it was expected. And truth had been pushed aside. And then, God spoke. A flood is coming. Not a storm, not a bad season, a flood that would cover everything. So Noah started building. Not a small shelter, not something hidden, but an ark. Massive, unmissable, right in the open. And as the wood rose, so did the questions.
Hey Noah, what are you doing?
A boat. A boat? Out here? There was no rain, no clouds, no signs. Just a man with a message nobody wanted to hear. And day after day, year after year, Noah kept going. He wasn't just building, he was warning. He was speaking. He was telling people.
Something is coming, turn back. Don't ignore this.
But people didn't want truth. They wanted comfort. They wanted normal. They wanted life to go on, the way it always had. And so they laughed, they mocked, they walked past the ark like it was nothing. But Noah didn't stop. Not after a year, not after 10, not after 50, 120 years, 120 years of doing the right thing with almost no visible results. That's the part we don't talk about enough. We love the ending of Noah's story, the ark, the animals, the rainbow. But we skip over the long, quiet middle, where obedience looked like failure, where truth looked ignored. But here's the thing. Truth doesn't stop being truth, just because people ignore it. Years later, another man stood alone, but this time, it wasn't quiet. His name was Elijah, and the world around him had changed. Not suddenly, but slowly. Truth hadn't disappeared overnight. It had been replaced. People still believed in something, just not in what was real. False prophets had taken the stage, hundreds of them, speaking confidently, sounding convincing, telling people what they wanted to hear. 450 prophets, one voice of truth, and Elijah stood right in front of all of them, not with a crowd, not with support, just alone.
If the Lord is God, follow him, but if Baal is God, then follow him.
And the people said nothing, because sometimes people know the truth, they just don't want to choose it. So Elijah proposed something simple. 2 altars, 2 sacrifices, no tricks. Call on your God, and I'll call on mine. The one who answers. That's the truth. The false prophets went first. They shouted, they danced, they cried out louder and louder. Hours passed. Nothing happened. No fire, no response. Just noise. Because volume isn't power, and popularity isn't proof. Then Elijah stepped in. No performance, no shouting, just a quiet, steady confidence. He rebuilt the altar, slowly, carefully, as if reminding everyone what had been forgotten. Then he did something unexpected. He poured water over everything, once, twice, 3 times, because truth doesn't need help to prove itself. Elijah prayed, short, simple.
Let it be known today that you are God.
And suddenly, fire. Not small, not subtle. It consumed everything. The sacrifice, the stones, even the water. In a moment, what was real became undeniable. Part 3. When truth isn't popular. Noah stood alone for years. Elijah stood alone in a moment. Different situations, same truth. Truth doesn't depend on numbers. It doesn't matter if one person believes it or 1,000 reject it. Truth is still truth. And if we're honest, this still happens today. There are moments when doing what's right feels like standing by yourself, when speaking truth feels uncomfortable, when staying faithful feels unnoticed. You might not get applause, you might not get support, you might not even get understanding, but that doesn't mean you're wrong. Sometimes, it means you're just early. Noah didn't see the rain right away. Elijah didn't see the fire until the very end. But both of them had something in common. They trusted before they saw. And maybe that's what makes truth so powerful. It doesn't always show up immediately, but when it does, it leaves no doubt. So, if you ever feel like you're standing alone, if doing the right thing feels unnoticed, if telling the truth feels uncomfortable, remember this: you're not the first. Noah stood alone. Elijah stood alone. And they didn't stop. Not because it was easy, not because people agreed, but because it was true. Truth doesn't need to be popular to be real. And sometimes, the strongest thing you can do is stand even when no one stands with you. Because in the end, truth doesn't fade. It reveals. Please subscribe to stay connected. Use a male clear American voice for speaker 5. Use a male voice for the narrator. Don't use iStock.